morning, girls. Today we will talk about the passive voice, and it's the first lesson in Unit 7. Look at the example with me. The house was built in 1645. You have a noun in the position of a subject, but it is not a subject. The subject is hidden or omitted. And you have an action was built and it affects the house in a certain year. So this sentence is constructed in the passive voice because it starts with the object and there is no subject in it. Essentially, the sentence was someone built the house in 1645. So, we use the passive voice when we are interested in the object, not the subject. We use it to show interest in the person or object that experience an action, rather than the person or object that performs the action. Sometimes we use it when we don't know or don't think that it's important to show the subject in the sentence. Keep in mind that the passive voice is a very formal style and we use it in formal text. To turn a sentence from the active mood into the passive mood, you have certain rules to follow. The first one, as you can see in the example, we omit the subject, find the object and put it in the first position in the passive sentence. Then we look at the verb, identify its tense, and put it in the form of to be plus the past participle. This is the past participle and this is to be. Then we put the complement. Sometimes it's important or we feel it gives sense to the sentence to mention the subject and it's mentioned at the end of the sentence preceded by the preposition by. Let's now apply these rules on the different tenses with different examples. The first example in the present simple tense. Rita writes a letter. So we have a subject and a verb. This is it. The verb in the present simple can be either pair infinitive or with s, as in this case because the subject is singular. A letter is the object. So if we want to make it or turn it into passive mood, we omit the subject, take the object, put it at the beginning of the new sentence, the letter. Then you have the verb writes in the present simple. To be verbs in the present simple are am, is, or are. The letter is singular, so we take is. The past participle of the verb write is written. It's optional to put the subject at the end of the sentence if it's needed. So, any sentence in the present simple can be transformed into passive voice following this rule. Object, am, or is, or are, according to the type of object, followed by the past participle, and then you can put the complement that contain the subject if you want, preceded by. Now look at the other example. It's in the present continuous. They are killing civilians in bomb explosions. So this is the subject. Present continuous, you have are, am, or is according to the subject, verb with ing, and then you have the word civilians, its object, followed by a complement. So how can we make it passive sentence? We put what? The object at the beginning of the new sentence. Civilians. Civilians, plural. So we take a. To be verbs here to express continuous mood, we use being to refer that the sentence was in the continuous mood. Being what? You have this killing. Take the past participle of it, are being killed in bomb explosions. So you have an object followed by am, is, or are, according to the object here, not the subject of the essential sentence. Then being to refer to the continuous mood, past participle, this is it, killed, and then the complement. Now you have the past simple. Somebody stole my laptop 2 days ago. You have a subject followed by the verb. The verb here is stole, which is what? Irregular. And you can also use regular verbs in the past simple. My laptop is what? Is the object. And then you have a complement, adverb of time, 2 days ago. So if we want to make this sentence in the passive voice structure, we put my laptop, the object, at the beginning, followed by to be. To be in the past simple will be was or were. My laptop, singular, we say was. Stole is the main verb, so the past participle of stole is stolen. 2 days ago. So now we can put a rule. Object followed by was or were according to the subject if it's singular or plural. Then past participle and then a complement. Sometimes it's what's contained the subject of the main sentence preceded by. Past continuous. He was washing the dog in the garden. We have a subject, was or were, then a verb with ing participle, then an object, the dog, and then a complement. Now let's make it a passive sentence. Where is the subject? The dog. Put it at the first position of the sentence. The dog. Was, because it's what? It's singular. If there are dogs, we put were. The dogs were. The dog was. Was being to say that the tense is continuous. Was being. Where is the verb? Washing. What is the past participle? Washed in the garden. And now we will put the rule for the past continuous in the passive structure. Object followed by what? Was or were. Then you have being to indicate that the sentence or the tense is what? Continuous, past continuous. Then the past participle followed by the complement. And as we have said earlier, it sometimes contains the subject of the main sentence preceded by what? By pi. Present perfect simple. Look at the example. She has sold the rights to her book for $2 million. subject. This is an active sentence. This is what has sold. Present perfect simple. We have has or have followed by the past participle. Then what? The rights to her book. All of this is the object. And then comes the complement, $2 million. Let's make it passive. This is the object of the sentence. Put it at the beginning. The right to her book. In the active sentence, we have has with the past participle because the subject is she. Now the rights are what? Plural. We say the rights to her book have been sold for $2 million. Let's now make the rule. We have an object. This is it. Followed by has or have, then been. To say what? That the tense is perfect. Here we have present perfect, has, have, and been. Then the past participle followed by the complement. Future with will. Look at the example. The employer will sign the contract tomorrow. This is an active sentence starting with the subject, will, and the verb in its space form to give us a future structure, followed by the contract. It's an object that is affected by the action that is done by the employer. Then you have tomorrow. It is a complement adverb of time. How can we make it passive voice? We can take the object, the contract, put it at the beginning of the sentence. Then we put will. Be, what be, instead of the infinitive form of the essential verb in the future tense. Will be signed. Tomorrow, I feel here it's important to mention the subject by the employer. So let's make a rule. We have the object followed by will, be, and then the past participle and the complement. Here what? The complement contains what? An adverb of time, by, followed by the subject of the main sentence, the active sentence. Models. As you know, we have different models that we have dealt with to express different functions, like advice, like prohibition, like obligation, suggestion, etc. Here we have two examples to show you how can we make sentences with models in the passive mode. We can only issue a passport at the embassy. Issue here means what? To make it formal or make it authorized. You have subject at the beginning of the sentence, then the model can only verb issue in its space form because we have can, followed by the passport, which is the object, and then you have the complement at the embassy. Let's now make it a passive sentence. Where is it? The object, it's here, a passport. Then we take can, put it after it. Since we have issue in its space form, we use what? Can be. Issue will be the past participle, issued at the embassy. So you have an object followed by can, which is the model, then be, and the past participle, then comes the complement. This is another example with must. It's an obligation. The police must stop the criminals before they commit more crimes. You have a subject, which is the police, then must, followed by the verb in its space form. Then you have the criminals, which is the object, and all of the rest of the sentence is what is a complement before they commit more crimes. Let's make it a passive sentence. The criminals will be at the beginning. We say the criminals, we put must be. Where is the verb stop? We say must be stopped before they commit more crimes. So we have the rule, an object, which is the criminal, followed by must, be, and the past participle, then comes the complement. So if you have a model, you put the object, then the model, followed by be, and after that put the past participle and the complement. Look at this example. We can also make this sentence in the passive structure. We can say the criminals must be stopped before more crimes are committed, because the sentence is in the present simple. This is a present simple tense. The criminals must be stopped by the police before more crimes are committed. I wish you have got the topic.